Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, guys. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your support. As always, we have HazmattsMilitia from Clan Alari in his Sturv 103-2. We have two replays from Hazmats. He sent me a note and said, hey, you take a look at these replays and help me out. I'm struggling a little bit. I think he specifically said with this tank, but in general with this game as well. So, since I haven't worked with Hazmats before now, I went ahead and looked at his stats. So let's take a look at this. The standard caveat at the beginning is this has zero to do with name and shame and has everything to do with looking at a snapshot of where Hazmats is. And I thought there was something pretty interesting here that we can all learn a bit from. So I'll call up his stats right here. And we're just going to take that snapshot of what his body of work up to this point has been. Looks like he's got 19,000 battles, so relatively new. As a matter of fact, Hazmats, this was about the point when I was playing World of Tanks that I started paying attention to mine. Somewhere around 10 to 15, I started to wonder why it was that I wasn't getting any better. And somewhere around 20%, I started to actively look for the answers to that question. So if you look at him, he's 49.89%. Average player, definitely looking like, at least from his win rate, that he's got a good grasp on the basics of the game. We'll get into that. The hit rate is low to some extent, 58.42. We'll take a look at that a little more in depth. Personal rating 4,800, whatever. Base experience 393, and most experience 2,672. So we can't really glean a lot from this other than I would say his hit rate is a little bit low. So let's drop down here. You might think at the beginning, well, hit rate's low because he plays a lot of arty. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Maybe hit rate's low because he plays a lot of really low tier. Not necessarily. He's probably the most at 5, but he's really in that 5 to 8 realm, which I think most people are. This kind of graph right here is what you'll see from most players. Somewhere in the middle, they've got most of their games. Some of the very best players are sitting at more 9s and 10s, but most of us look like this kind of curve that you have going on right here. So I would say right off the bat, your hit rate's a little low. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I've got one big thing that might help you out along the way. If we look at this, victories 49, we already looked at that. Battles survived at 25, low. Okay, but that's not bad for a 50% player. You really want that to be north of 30%. That means you're lasting longer and having more of a vote. Again, this is not his recents. We're just taking a look at overall what he's been doing. The good news here is damage ratio and destruction ratio are both at 1 or slightly over, and that's very good. Okay, and that speaks to what I said earlier, that this is an average player who has a fairly good grasp of the basics of the game, right? How to shoot, where to shoot, that kind of thing, okay? Capture points and base defense points don't show a big difference. You would rather see the defense points much higher than capture, but at least it's slightly higher, so that's good. That doesn't look like you're pushing to cap all the time when you win a flank. We'll get to that in a bit. Experience we talked about. Damage causes 678. This really is tier dependent, and I don't know if there's average tier. Well, you'd have to kind of assume it from this right here. The average tier is going to be, I don't know, 6 or so, maybe slightly higher than 6. So that average damage is maybe a little low. Not too bad though for an average player. Assist is 291. Let's see. Vehicle spotter 1.93 is okay. Destroyed 0.82. That's a little bit low. We'd rather that be 1 or higher. That means for every time you die, you kill somebody. Okay, every time you die, you kill someone. Most vehicles destroyed. He's had an 8 damage game. And it looks like he likes his BIS the most. Now, that is going to be a little bit difficult to win in. It's a little scout. It's not really a carry tank. It's a lot of fun. You're doing pretty well at it at 52%. You've got it 2 mark. That's outstanding. So clearly knows what he's doing pretty well in the BIS. That may speak a little bit to some of your problems with your accuracy, because I also noticed that there's an ELC of a 90 with a lot of battles here, and they are also very inaccurate, but also 2 marked. So he's got some marks. You can see he's got several tanks marked in here. His IKV is 3. Wow, man. Nicely done. Your IKV 103 is 3 marked. That's fantastic. Send me an IKV 103 replay. We got to see this one. 55%. Some of these tanks in here are relatively low accuracy. The 100 wide's derpy. The 122S, a little bit derpy. Borsig and the T29 aren't really, but there's a lot of battles in the Panzer 1 Auf C, so that could speak a little bit to the accuracy. So these are the kind of things you have to take some of these stats that you look at with a bit of a grain of salt, or at least kind of dig into it a little more and get an idea. So you can't just go, oh, you're terrible at shooting. You might look at it and go, well, you probably need to increase your accuracy a bit, but I can see why some of your stats might be a little low. Okay, so an average player is looking for help, and this is the type of player that I help probably the most, mostly because that's what's mostly out there, right? Mostly that's what's mostly. There are more people at the average level than there are, unicums and super unicums, so that just stands to reason. But it's also the people who are actively starting to look around and go, hey, can someone help me figure out this game called World of Tanks? I got it. I can get to an initial position. I'm pretty decent at least going to spots I like. I can get some damage down range. I know how to angle. I understand hold down. Weak spots I got a grasp on. All these basics that make you an average player. But the question then becomes, and this is what I asked myself when I got to that point, I went, all right, I'm feeling pretty confident playing the game from the mechanical standpoint of it. But why is it I can't carry more wins? How come I'm just a 50-50 player? I'm really good in my tank in my local spot. What is it that adds that extra 2, 5, 10% win rate over 50%? How do you become good to great in this game? Do I just get better at the mechanics? That didn't seem logical to me. I felt like, well, I'm pretty good at the mechanics. I'm going to win a lot of brawls that I'm in. I feel good, but then all of a sudden the game turns against me, right? Oh, darn it, RNG, my team was bad, rigged, all that stuff. That's where that feeling comes from, because you really feel like you can play your tank, but you're losing games that you thought you did well in. So what is it? Well, it's analyzing the match. It's positioning and then repositioning. It's reacting to the match faster than the other people do. And it's understanding that initial position and your flank may not be the only thing that you have to worry about in the match. And that's where you then start adding that 1% to get 51%, and that 2% more to get 53%, and that 3% more to get to 56%. The better you get at that chess playing part of the game, the higher your win rate and the more ability to carry. Okay, the more games along the way. Now remember, out of 100 games, if I'm a 50% player, to move myself to 51%, out of those 100 games, I only have to figure out how to win one more. And if I'm going to take myself from 50 to 60%, I only have to figure out how to win 10 more. And that's a lot, actually, if you think about the percentage spread, but you get the idea. It is a small percentage spread, and it is a big deal to move yourself up a couple percentage, and what we're just trying to do is figure out how to do that. Okay, an extra shot of damage, really from about 50% to 55%. If you concentrate on just getting a couple extra shots of damage in, you're going to increase your win rate just from that. Past that point, now it really is even more about the chess match piece of it. So we're going to talk about this when we get into HazmattsMilitia's gameplay here, because what you're going to see is he's got a pretty good grasp on the basics of the game. But the reaction and where he goes and what he does between shots is what we're going to work on. All right, so here he is. He's platooned with Rigo, and Superfly TNT. So he's got an arty, a medium, and a TD. Not a particularly great combo for a platoon. And the reason I say that is because when you're playing a platoon, you really want stuff that's complementary. To some extent it is. The TD can hang back, and use fire support for the medium who's up forward, and the artillery can dump on people to help them both. And as long as you're working together, that's really all we can ask. I tend to like better tanks that are similar so they can all three work if you need to push together, all that good stuff. Okay, so I just throw that out right off the bat. And really, to some extent, a good platoon can increase your win rate a bit. All right, but we're going to talk about individual skills on that right here. So we have platooned onto Muravanka, or we have logged into, geez, I'll spit it out here in a minute. Spawned, right? We spawned. We logged in earlier, then we platooned, and then we spawned into Muravanka from the north spawn, and we're coming over here to the field. I like that because it speaks to understanding of the game and positions. He went to a good position. Granted, everybody knows about it. In fact, wait for it. This gets pretty good. But he also knocks down those trees and sets up his little nest, right? He builds his nest. So that was the first thing I saw when I watched this. I'm like, okay, this guy has a general idea of what he's doing, at least in this particular tank, on this map, in this spot. All right, so that's good. That is a good thing. And, you know, if they don't have that, then we really have to get even more basic as we're talking about it. Look, now there's 3 of us. There'll be more. All right. I want you to watch what happens when he shoots. All right, see that? It's hard to tell, but what just happened there, I think multiple of my good player community will have noticed it right off the bat. Let's see if we can get another shot in here. Oh, all right, so your gun shake. Your dynamic camera is on, which means every time you shoot, the gun shakes. Let's go ahead and pause. We're going to go into the settings. We're going to go here, and we're going to go to enable dynamic camera. Mine is not enabled. This is a replay. Yours, I bet, is enabled because your gun kicks up every time it fires. Doesn't do anything to the accuracy, but it is very distracting. And if you're trying to put another shot back on the target down there, take another shot down range, every time it does that, and what happens is, and shout out to 13 Disciple and a couple other the CCs who just put out great guides on this, kind of reminded me of it. I've had it turned off so long I never really thought about it. What happens is when that thing kicks up, you automatically try to fix it, which means you move your mouse. So it's a PIO, we call them flying, pilot-induced oscillation. It goes, you push back, you're overcorrecting, and it takes a while to resettle. Right? Turn that thing off. If you love that the gun kicks and you like explosions, go ahead and leave it on. But of all the things that are the eye candy of this game that I would definitely get rid of, it would be that one right there. Okay, so that's how you get rid of that. Even if it stopped you from getting 1 shot in 20, it would be worth turning off. Okay, or being a little more precise in your actual physical. There we go. Now all 4 of us are here. Apparently the FV is not quite hidden because he just EBR is raging forward right there. You've got some good hold down tanks that you're taking on, the AX, the 7-1. Those are all going to all be very difficult. There's that thing. But they do have a few flat spaces on their turrets. I don't know what your zoom level is. It looks like not very high, or at least you're not using very high. You can get in on some of these guys and, yeah, see, I can't really zoom in. You can get in on some of those guys and find the little flat spots on some of the AX and Centurion 7-1s. And with this tank, have a pretty good chance of penning through that. So you might want to fine-tune some of your shots right here. I will say, as a general rule, from a lot of your shots, you're just kind of accepting these general area shots. It's his turret will just kind of try to take a shot there without really fine-tuning. That one's much better. There's that gun shake. That one's much better because it looked like you went after his lower hole when he came up and over. All right, these guys are coming at you. You're going to get a nice shot into the T95 4201. And I don't know if they saw you there or just happened to shoot into that spot where he took a shot. More than likely, he's just blind shooting you. The 4005 is dead. So the 4201 comes in, and we got a bit of a problem. This guy's got to go, and it looks like your 121 Bravo understands this. You're not going to be able to sit on this backside. It's 2 TDs. And the 121 Bravo, you've got a couple lights up there. The EBR is actually out in the flat, but the 1390 is sitting over there in those bushes. And you got a bit of a problem. The first problem you got is that 4201's got to go. So I think I would have just actually pulled up there and tried to help these guys out. There you go. Looks like we're going to try to sneak a shot on the 4201. He turns his turret and gives you a nice shot. That was nicely done. That's a good example of pretty good mechanical competence on what you're doing and what you're looking for as far as taking shots. Really nice. Right there. You're looking at him, but I think there's actually a shot on this guy, yeah. So watch out for stuff like that. I think he's actually diving down, but he'd been there for a while. Be a little bit more open to shifting your shot selection. What I see with you a lot is you're really kind of glomming onto one guy and waiting for him a little bit too long. You had another shot there. There we go. Now we see this dude, and we're going to put a little shot right there. There we go. And the 121 Bravo helps get rid of that guy. The 1390 does a nice job coming over and helping to swarm that guy. The 155 went in. Obviously, your tank is not great at driving in at people, so I thought it was a nice job hanging out here and trying to punish the ones who were poking up and over. The Foch lost a lot of hit points, but he helped the 121 Bravo get rid of that guy. And I'll be honest, other than all of you running away, which was an option for you, you could have run away. In fact, you could have got back into these bushes back about where the 212 is. But I think it was a good idea to stay based on the 121 going in and trying to finish these guys off. Okay. So we're working this flank. There's still a few guys alive. I agree with hanging out for the moment. Be nice if you could kill them without losing any more of your one-shots down here. And it looks like the 7-1 and the AX are really interested in getting rid of those one-shots. The 1390 goes in. He's a bit of an X factor if he can get in and finish guys off. The 121 Bravo. And then we leave. And I'm not exactly sure what the point of this is. I'm going to let this go because you sort of wander around a bit here. And this is what I'm talking about on decision making and reacting to the game. For my money, I'd have gone straight at him. Got up on this ridge, crawled this thing up with its depression, and start punishing people. I know there's artillery, and they probably would have started focusing you if they had the chance, but I think they're really busy with the Maus and all these heavies over here. I haven't really seen any already come in, and once you move that gun up there, that keeps the Centurion and the rest of those guys really busy. All right, they get worried about a 100% hit point stirb, and we sort of wander, and now we're going this way, and I'm thinking, well, okay, what's the purpose? Well, no, okay, now we're going to go this way. And I'll ask you then, as you're watching this, what was your plan? Okay, did it change? Did you think you were going to fall back to the back? Did you then change your mind and decide you wanted to go get the Centurion? I would have gone up much earlier and tried to help these guys get rid of the Centurion. But guess what? He ran off. So once you get here and look around, okay, well, there's nobody there. As opposed to just drive up and over and take a shot, I'd have come close, coming up and over, go ahead and set up into siege mode and crawled up. Because you might have got a sneaky, cheeky shot on somebody right there. Plus, you'd have been a little bit better as far as your armor profile goes. You're kind of really just doing scout by fire in your stirb, which is what I think you're trying to do here. And I don't really understand why, because now you are out here alone, and you may have been talking with the 212 with Superfly and saying, hey, I'll get you spots. Not a bad idea, but really a bad place to do it. What's going on in this map? If you had it to do over again, where would you go right now? I think you'd probably answer, I'd go back, maybe up towards the GW Tiger is, and turtle up in the back and help my guys that are still alive. Okay, this is the part of the game where you need to get together with your guns, unless you've got some kind of very flexible tank who can get into their backfield and cause problems. But even so, I don't know if I'd really be doing that right now with a 4005, a T95. They also have a scout, and what happens is we just sort of wander around down here in the southeast of the map. Kind of go over here. We'll wander down this way. Now we're up in the flat, really just asking to be spotted. We get away with it. Looks like the 1390's going in, so it looks like you're going to try to set up for a shot with him. He goes that way, but you're not set up. So now we're wandering over this way. And now we're way out in the open. This is just extremely dangerous. So this is what I'm talking about. The good player, the average player to the good player to the great player. Your approach in this situation, your reaction, the way you move around the map is very telling. Because you're just out in the open. And if you're attempting to find them by I'm scouting, that's fine. But there's nobody that's going to be able to do anything about it except your 212 artillery. And if that's what you're relying on in this part of the game, you're in the wrong ballpark, okay? Yes, he can probably drop something on somebody, but is he necessarily going to get a kill? He might get the Centurion 7-1, actually, because he's very low hit points. But he'll get one shot and a stun in there, and then you're going to get massacred by 2 artillery and a bunch of hiding TDs, okay? So your approach needed to be much earlier. First, from that spot where you were shooting the guys, fire support, up to the ridge, try to catch that Centurion before he got away. Once you found he wasn't there, go down through the low area if you're going to do this, right along where the 1390 is. Then go up. I'll go ahead and get the go ahead and get the map here. Go along this low area down here, and then come across here along the edge of the map, and then back up here, and maybe there's some bushes here as well. You can take some shots, and you might have already been in position to take on the Centurion 7-1. Okay, the game really is about time and timing. For me, once I got to the ridge back here and saw the Centurion was gone, I'd have headed back to help my guys and bring my gun to bear for the 121, the T10, and WT. Look what the 121 did. Okay? 121 did exactly what I was talking about. He went back to help these guys. You guys are in a bad position, so you're going to have to turtle up a little bit and hope that this stirb can lay down some serious fire as well as the 2 artillery on an enemy that's being a little bit over-aggressive on pushing. So we come here, be careful. Again, a little bit exposed. Now we're into the bushes. That's a good thing. The 1390 is pushing in. There's their 1390. Late to react to things that are going on the minimap. Nice shot right there. Plus we get the track. That's all good. We're just going to wait till we kill this guy. Okay, there he goes. That's all right. Oh, shot a little behind him as he turned, unfortunately. The 1390 is seen. He takes some stun and then gets absolutely annihilated by the 4005. Absolutely annihilated by the 4005. Now your team is engaged in the north and you are completely 100% out of position. Okay. If you had bailed out and went back, I don't think the light tank would have kept pushing in there. And the problem with this tank as well, it's a great support tank. That pop-up spot, if you're moving, all of a sudden you got to get into siege mode, then you got to get situated, then you got to fire, and you don't have a lot of opportunity to kind of move fast with a light tank and follow up. So now we're completely out of the game. And that's what I'm talking about. The competent average player moving into the good to great player. You've really made several bad decisions on your positioning and the flow of the battle and reading what's happening in the battle, and you've put yourself out of the game, basically. You're in no place to support the guns that you had left in the game. This part of the map doesn't matter right now. And we're just sort of wandering around. If you win a flank and all you ever did was go back to your cap after you won that flank, you will be a 53 to 55% player. And I'm talking about doing that robotically without even thinking about what the heck is going on in the rest of the game. There's clearly more to it than that. It's a good shot right there. Nice job backing up from the bush and not getting spotted. There's clearly more to it than that, but if you are a 50% player, which is essentially what you are right here, and all you ever did was win your flank, and then once that was done, you went back to your cap, you would increase your win rate 3 to 5%. All right? I can almost 100% guarantee that. Just based on how this game is played and how the average match goes, that will increase your win rate 3 to 5%. All right? So, all right, great. We got to this position. How do we handle it? Now is the time for you to get super defensive. And I would have probably bailed out of this and went all the way back around to where your Artie is and tried to defend the cap. Because it doesn't matter what's going on in their cap. They know you're there because you just hit the 4005 in the back. So once I got that shot on the 4005 and noticed my guys all died, I'd have gone ahead and bailed out of this and gone all the way around the back of the map again, all the way through the forest, and tried to work myself back here. Maybe into this corner here, if they start crossing the open area and try to look for your Artie, because they'll realize he's not up in here once they don't spot him. And hiding out in these bushes here is a great position. Yes, they may have come up behind you and through here and start getting shots, but then you might also be getting some aid from your artillery right there. But probably the worst thing to do in this case is to wander around in a stirve trying to spot for Artie. I mean, I get it. You're looking for the Hail Mary right now. You know what I mean? You're shooting from the shooting from half court and hoping that that shot goes in as the buzzer is going off at this point. But I really think your best bet was to go find a bush. Because it's a T95, a 4005, and an artillery. You're going to have a really hard time out in the open dealing with those guys. So we come over here. We get spotted, I believe, before we spot them. Yep. And then he sees us, and unfortunately he actually hits us. We're actually moving pretty good, and he just whacks us for 785. Then we're trying to fix things. We fix the ammo rack, and then we get whacked by the Artie. All right, let me give you a saving piece of advice. If you're trying to get from average to good to great, you really need to be using large kits. I cannot stress that enough, because what would have happened there is when you got hit, you would have hit 4 and it would have fixed everything. You don't have to make a choice, and you could have been on your way. Okay, and maybe that artillery misses you or doesn't quite get as good a hit on you right there. As it is, you have a small kit, so you prioritize the ammo rack, and now you're tracked. And we're in big old trouble right here. Can't get that shot. We're going to get moving on. And we got to go into travel mode, and now we're making a runner, and the 4005 says, I've got you now. He's not worried. He knows he can take a hit. He's got buddies. He's got artillery. He's just going to come charging at you and try to kill you. We're going to come over here. Really, you're just looking for one single shot. I'd have gone into siege mode right there, just swung around and hopefully ammo rack him. That's really your only option right here. And just late going into siege mode. We do get a shot on him though, so nicely done there. And sort of hoping he misses, or I was going to say that he bounces, but if he's firing HE right there, it's hard to know if it's HE or Hesh. I don't know if you can tell, because it doesn't say Hesh as I recall right there. Probably just HE because he doesn't want to bounce off all those angles. And we end up dying. We got 2,756, not 2 kills, no kills. And eventually our arty gets hunted down and we lose. All right, so lots of good stuff here. Good competent use of the tank in the positions you were in. I think bad decision making overall once we left this spot here. Slow to move forward. Then we wander around a little bit. Then we're out in the open over here. Then we keep pushing a bad situation instead of realizing we need to go back. I think I'd have realized earlier, but especially once you got about here, going, ooh, look, we got a big problem back here. Then we drive all the way into their backfield, hang out here for a bit. We get a cheeky shot on the 4005. That's great. And then we just push into a 4005, a T95, and an arty. It's just, the whole decision-making from about the point where you push forward from that sniper spot got a little dicey right there. I see that a lot from TD players, people who like TDs quite a bit. In fact, let me look at this. I don't remember if I looked at what the classes were. Yeah, you play a lot of TDs at 5,000 games, but also a lot of light tanks. The light tank gameplay is fantastic because it will help you get better. Absolutely, and you do well in them. So I think you have a good knowledge of the maps as far as that goes. It's just putting it together on the decision making as the match goes on. Okay, so let's look at the second example. For the second example, we're here on mines. Oh, geez. Again, in our stirve. North spawn, we're going to get up on the hill. There's not a lot of better places really for you to go. There are a couple options that I will throw out for you if you want to be a little more aggressive and a little bit less predictable as to where you're going to be. You can go to this corner right here where Chano Choka is about to go up and over and use that bush and shoot guys. You're not going to be invisible, but there's no arty as well, which is really nice. And you can really control that ramp from this position. Also, you can swing the shots on guys who are trying to poke out over here on the hill. Another option there, okay? The other option is to go down to and you can already see that your Batchat 25T platoon mate is doing so. You can go down to the island and work the island a little bit. And you'll go to that position. It's right here at EU1 a little while later. So you're aware of the position. For me, I like the more aggressive spots with TDs than these kind of sit back spots, which are really relying on two things. Number one, my team not folding, and that's not folding without me doing anything, because more than likely you're not going to do anything here to help the team until later on in the game. Okay, and number two, relying on the enemy team being Muppets and driving into your gun and not realizing 42 TDs are going to be on this hill. And for me, that's just not a thing to rely on. And this is again a kind of mindset and a gameplay style for good to great players who are more so looking to impact the battle from the beginning, no matter what tank they're in. Now, I can't argue too much about going here because of this map and the situation you got going on. Okay, it's not bad. And I think some very good to great players might do this early and then move off of it pretty early if nothing's going on. Like if the enemy team's Muppets and they come up and over that ramp and they try to poke around the corner and you have shots, then by all means, go for it, okay? But I bring it up because if your go-to spot is a more passive spot rather than forward thinking and thinking, I want to get my gun in the game and get active, that is another reason why people will stay at 50%, okay? The trick with a tank like this, and it's not easy, is to not overextend. And that's easily done in a stirve if you're going, I'm going to be, Guido said be aggressive, go to the front and start punching people in the face in my stirve 103. No, okay. You do need to be careful about doing that as well. Okay, so talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here, and we'll take a look at this match. We'll just let it get going here. But it is something to think about. Now here's the Muppet that you're waiting for from this position. This is unknown why he's doing that, but he gets biffed a couple times trying to go across and it loses most of his hit points. So, okay, that's good, fantastic. That's one of their tier 10s. Nice job being back from that bush. You clearly know that that's how you're going to use this bush so that you can shoot people. I think you had a shot on that guy, man. I think he was about to come around the corner there, and maybe a blind shot, because I think he actually uncovered. See the gun line? See where his spot is right there on the mini-map? Let's see if I can get it one as big as it's going to be. Yeah. See where his spot is on the mini-map right there? And the gun line is just clearing the rocks. I think he went across there. So that's probably a blind shot opportunity. All right, so we don't see anything. Now let's analyze this real quick, just from an initial analysis, and this is something you need to do if you're trying to get from that 50% to a higher percentage. It's pretty early in the game, it's about a minute in, but what do we know about this game already? Well, number one, we lost the hill. Crap. All right, that's an uphill struggle to begin with, okay? We could retake it. That remains to be seen. Mals are slow. This Mals is shooting people looking at the Progetto. They haven't really got into position. Number two, the island is contested. We seem to have it controlled for the moment, but we're not going to get a bunch of guys pushing down on our side. That is problematic for this sniper position, so that's a good thing. Where do we not have any SA? Up in the city over here on the northeast. That's potentially a problem, and depending on how close they get, you could be seen right here, okay? And we're going to see that start to develop. So that's what we know right off the bat, and it looks like you're kind of watching that way a bit. The Progetto's taking some hits, and he's attempting to do his best to see what's over there, but depending on the guy that shows up, he won't last very long. The Tortoise is finally moving in, and it looks like the Mouse is hanging out for a moment. He's not quite pushing in on them, and then we've got the ISM who's come around the corner. And I thought you had shots on this guy if you just shift over to the right a bit, and it's hard to get the zoom in right here, and it looks like we got maybe a highlight, but that building is in the way unless you go over here. I thought you were going there initially, but then you sort of ignored it. Right? Now, I don't really have any idea what this move is right here. Let's see if you actually set up for a shot. Yeah, I guess we're falling back because we're worried about that, and that might be what it was. You just didn't want to get spotted from guys up there. So not bad, but I thought you maybe had a few shots. If you'd have shifted, if you'd gone straight from where you were with your back against that rock up to like here, I think you would have been covered up on these bushes and you might have had shots on these guys right there. It is close though. I mean, the white line is in there, so perhaps this is one of those discretion is the better part of valor. There's that gun shake again. The Renegade you're not going to get shots on. The JPZ E100 is hanging out right there. Investigate those shots. You do lack a little bit investigating shots. I've noticed that somewhat. And maybe you know the firing line's that good that you don't have to look. But for me, I often zoom in and scope it out and go, do I actually have a shot on that JPZ? Maybe I do. We've got the T-30 doing his thing, and we go and we're like, okay, when we're looking at the Foch, and we've never see how long it's been since we really kind of looked at somebody for a shot. And I noticed that with your gameplay quite a bit. You'll shoot and you'll start moving, and there's a lot of you know what I mean? It's just I'm looking around and I'm doing stuff, but I don't ever just all right, chill out for a second. Do I have a shot on T-30? No. Do I have a shot on the Renegade? No, he's behind that rock. Did I have a shot on the JPZ? No, the building's in the way. If I shift right, I can get it. You know what I'm saying? What it was, that whole sequence was like sprayed roach. I have no idea what we were trying to accomplish right there. Now, the fact is what you're trying to accomplish was get a shot, but nothing was really methodically and carefully looked at to see if you had a shot. I liked this. I thought maybe you stayed up there a little longer than you should have. There is a Foch, there's a T-95. It wasn't bad though, but I like that you're actually moving down to the island. A little bit curious why the Bat Chat is hanging out behind a rock back here. Not very useful to your team. And maybe you two were talking and you were talking about coming down and helping him, and he turtled up until you came up for fire support. So if that's what was happening, then fantastic. Looks like that's what's the effect was, even if that's not what the intention was. That's what's happening right now. All right, so we come around here. I see people use this spot. It is incredibly limited. It's not a terrible spot, but it is a bit limited. For my money, I come up on this side against these rocks, even with this TD, and I look for the ability to get into like this bush. Or maybe just this bush if I have to. I do have to be careful about being spotted by this guy sitting in this bush up here. And it looks like the Pantera and the Barask are there, so maybe this was the better part of Valor. There's also an option to come up on this rock right here and then use this bush to kind of peek, because you are going to get spotted coming up and over right here. Nice job going into your siege mode and come around this corner. We had all kinds of gun depression. Oh, look at this. We found a Pantera. We have a very accurate gun, and we thump him, and then he breaks our gun. That's a bummer. Go ahead and fix that gun immediately. You need that gun. We're spotted. There's no arty. That's a good thing. We're going to come up here and look for a shot. There we go. We fixed the gun. Fantastic. And we'll come up and look for a shot. So here's just a fine point, one of those very small things. A better player probably would have noticed the gun damage faster. Okay? And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's just everything on this game is so timing oriented. Why? You're probably thinking, well, God, I got the gun fixed. There were no shots. What's the point? Well, if I take another gun hit before I regenerate my repair kit, I'm not able to fix the gun again until I wait a little extra time. Is it going to be a factor in this game? No, it's not. Could be, though, if somebody was pushing me or I needed that gun. So we're looking at all the things we can do to get a little better. Did he just get no, he got... I don't know what happened. He get tracked or something? That was weird that he stayed in there unless he was trying to get a second shot. Looks like the T-55 is aware of us. That's a good SA, and you've backed down. So looks like you're pushing up just enough. He's in this little opening right here, or has a shot through that opening that when you get spotted, he can shoot you in the side right there. This poor Pantera gets absolutely abused by the accuracy of the Sturv. He's fully zoomed in waiting for you. You show up, he shoots, he's getting bounces, and he's getting punched in the face. And the Bat Chat tries to cross and gets munched. I don't think it was a bad move by the Bat Chat. Oh, you get a little shot on him. There we go. Yes. Excuse me. Wasn't necessarily a bad move by the Bat Chat, but he paid for it. Now he's getting thumped by the Pantera. He must be out of shots, maybe. He's going to get... Oh, he got the kill. There we go. So he actually got the Pantera. Now your team's in a good position, right? The Pantera's dead. The Barask is there. What would you do? What's your plan? I know what I would do right here because I would be a little bit more aggressive than you were. So let's watch what you do. And this, again, is about flow of the game. There goes a 51 pushing by. Your Bat Chat's out there looking for lights in all the wrong places. The Barask is obviously a problem. And we're just kind of hanging out. Man, if only the enemy team would give me a shot, or if only my team would give me a shot. Well, why don't you go get a shot? I think, based on what you're seeing here, with the T-55 kind of busy, the Tortoise has those guys lit, you might have been able to cross down there and cross over. That would have been very aggressive. And potentially the IS-4 would have had a shot. But I think what I would have done, instead of hang out here, I would have crossed over to these bushes over here and backed up a little bit and looked for shots on these guys. But the good news is they make themselves available. So take nice, easy, aimed shots into this guy. There we go, right into the lower plate. Nicely done. Back out so the Barask can't see us. I thought that was fantastic. That was good SA on your local situation. We're going to put another one into his lower plate. Really well done. This Tortoise is lighting this guy up, and he's getting absolutely abused. Oh, he turned just in time, and that shot went into the track. Looks like there's a rock down below him there a bit. It's going to make it a little bit difficult to shoot him. There we go. Another 354. Nicely done. And they're making a bit of a comeback. You have shots all day here. I thought that was interesting that you switched. You kind of rushed that shot just a little bit. I don't know if I would have prioritized the T-55A. You might have thought the armor profile that the IS-4 was giving you was bad, and maybe the T-55A was a little better, but you end up kind of shooting him into his turret right there. Or it hurts you a little on that decision. IS-4 goes through. T-55A doesn't want to get hit by a Sturv anymore that knows he's there. And we're going to have to hang out just a little bit here. I think I would again tried to cross, or at least go look for the Barask, see if he's looking. Just take a peek, see if the Barask is looking, find out where he is. Maybe you can push on him. Maybe you can push on him or sneak a shot on him right there. And we're just kind of waiting for our team to give us some kind of shot. All right, so not bad. All right, I just proved the barrage's not there. Let's go ahead and watch this. You see that Scorpion G. Oh, geez, took you a while to see him, but there we go. Bap, hit that guy. Scorpion G gets hit again. He dies. Fantastic. We crawl back into our pit. And now we got a bit of an advantage over here, right? We got the IS-4 is basically down to a one-shot. Why not just push in and try to find this barrage? The Tortoise is kind of hurting out in the open right there, and the only thing that's really supporting him is the 50-51 is there, but you're not really in a good position to do so. And it looks a bit hesitant, so I think we're thinking about it. Should I go? Should I not go? You should go. You should absolutely go. Go try to find this barrage. There he is. And he's thumping the Tortoise. That's exactly what I was worried about. The barrage would get in behind him. And we're sort of driving around like, oh, geez. Tortoise is going to get killed because the barrage will reload. Then we jump into siege mode, and then, oh my god, oh geez, and oh boy. It's got all over the place. All right, so what should happen there, in my estimation anyway, is I can't get the stupid zoom to stop. God, this drives me crazy with the replays. Oh, for goodness sake. Oh my god, I can't get out of freaking... Okay, we're just going to have to let it go. There we go. God, Lord. Couldn't get out of a zoom mode. Moving up from this position much earlier to provide your team a little bit of SA over here. Remember when we talked about last game, how I said, I don't know why you're scouting over here? Well, this is the exact opposite. You had a good opportunity to get in here and get some lights and start figuring out where guys were with some support. But, of course, the Tortoise got tired of waiting and went up around the corner and died wholesale. Your 50-51, he's shifted over here, but he was in here as well. If you'd have taken those hit points and moved in here looking for that barrage, been a fantastic move early on and allowed you probably to keep that Tortoise alive. As it was, we just sort of waited there and let him basically eat crap and die. Wasn't a particularly wise move of his to go around the corner. I think maybe, possibly there, he expected you to be a little more helpful. And when he went around the corner to maybe you and the 50-51 moving up and keeping that guy from shooting you in the back. We're going to hang out here and wait. We got the IS-4 over here. We got 4,020 damage, 710 assist. I don't think we get the kill on this guy. No, the IS-4 got him. Dude, it's a good game, man. And the initial positioning, I didn't really have a huge problem with it. We talked about some more aggressive spots if you could try it. Really, it's moving that from a competent average player to a good to great player is just a bit of careful aggression and reacting to the battle a little faster than you're doing and reading it and going, all right, where do I need to be? I know I'm in a Stir 103. I should probably push across that open spot and try to find that barrage. Get that guy lit, pin him down. The 50-51's behind me. I've got the Tortoise sitting over there as well. Once I start moving in and that guy gets scampering around, maybe now the Tortoise can move out a bit and have a little bit more freedom of movement, as opposed to the game before where you're looking at, go, well, I need to try to find that Centurion or 7-1 or whatever it was that was there. And now I'm going to scout, and now I'm going to go into their backfield, but in reality, the entire battle was in the north. Does that make sense? It's the same decision and the wrong implementation on each one of those. All right, I hope that helped a little bit. A lot of that is quite subjective. I don't have anything other than the gun shake dynamic camera. I would turn that off, and I would be a little bit more curious about whether I have shots at times. So from the technical aspects, everything's pretty solid. Those are the only two things I would throw out for you on this one, other than carry large kits. Is the one a large kit and the other one a small kit? No, they're both small. Okay. Definitely carry large kits, especially at this tier, at tier 9 there. All right, man. I hope it helped. I hope it helped other people who are watching. That's all I've got for today. It's Guido signing off, and we will see you.